Doing well.
All right. Tight end Ryan Nowakowski. We'll start on your right with Zach B. and then go to Kellan.
Riley, I guess looking back to last year, Indiana had Zach Horton. Have they kind of shown you any film of Zach Horton as what they expect from you from a pass blocking and run blocking standpoint?
Yeah, definitely. That was a big part of my recruitment process. Was watching a lot of his film. Obviously, we have a similar build and kind of similar play style, so that was a big draw. It's like Coach Kane kind of told me, like, you fit this role really well. So yeah, it was definitely a big draw for me.
We'll stand right with Kellan, then go to Jared.
Tight end is obviously a hybrid of a blocker and receiver. Kind of, how do you see your game and fitting in with this offense?
I think obviously I used to play fullback back at Wisconsin, so I got kind of a little bit of that hard nosed, like downhill mentality, like a lot of gap scheme, a lot of power, all that kind of stuff. But then I feel like I have enough athleticism and enough wiggle to get open in the pass game and be a threat. People don't know, but I got a little bit of speed, so I feel like I'm a little bit of a deep threat.
All right, we'll stay on the right. Second row to Jared, then we'll go to Mike.
How much of Indiana did you pay attention to last year? Obviously, the rise of your personality.
Obviously being part of the Big Ten last year, I was watching them all year long. We played them the year prior in 2023, lost to them. But so they were kind of like on my mind, and then also seeing them the next year with the turnaround and everything. That was a big draw when I was looking to come here, was what SIG did with this team in only 1 year. Obviously, having played them the year before and kind of like knowing what they were like then, and then like seeing 2024, it was a big difference, I thought, so I really liked it.
We'll go to your left to Mike and then Zach.
You were a former walk-on at Wisconsin. When did you get put on scholarship? Maybe it's spring 2023, and what was that moment like? Was it a surprise? Did you know it was coming? Take us through that process of earning a scholarship.
Yeah, so it was spring going into my senior year, and we just had a new coach, and so I just moved to tight end, and they called me up into my coach's office and didn't tell me anything. They just said, "Hey, like, coach needs to talk to you." So, I was kind of nervous. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, like, am I gonna be on the team tomorrow? You know what I mean? And so when I got there, like, he just like slid me a paper, which was almost even worse. I was like getting ready to like call my parents and everything, and but then I looked at it and it was a scholarship, and I was super excited. So then I called my parents with the good news instead of the bad. So yeah, it was really sweet, really sweet.
We'll stay left to Zach and then go to Seth.
You talked about the receiving threat you think of. I think we also saw you at a dinner recently with the quarterbacks and the offensive linemen. What's your relationship like with that line? You got a lot of veterans, kind of to work with there, and also with your quarterback in terms of maybe recognizing certain things pre-snap and just being, sort of multifaceted in the way you impact blocking.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, I feel like tight end's an extension of the O-line, so I really take a lot of pride in my relationship with my tackles, right? Because we're working with them all the time. So I like to make sure that I have a good relationship with the ones, the twos, even the threes. Like, just that when we're out there and we're communicating, like, I know I can trust them and they can trust me. You know what I mean? Like, if one of us gets a call wrong, we can correct each other and just like know who we're playing with and kind of like feel that connection, right? And then same with Nando. Like, I like after like a pass play or something, I drop a pass or like it's a throw that kind of misses. I'm gonna go up and talk to him and be like, "Hey Nando, what did you see?" You know what I mean? Because I want to know like what he's thinking, and I want him to know what I'm thinking, so that we're on the same page all the time. Because obviously, I can't. When I'm running a route, I can't communicate with Nando. He's got to know what I'm thinking. I got to know what he's thinking.
Staying left to Seth and then go to Daniel.
Yeah, within that time you spent around the O-line since you got in here, just what was it like for you seeing Drew Evans recover from his injury the way he did and go through that whole rehab process, and just how challenging is that, I guess, to see a teammate like that go through that?
Definitely. So Drew was actually at Wisconsin with me for a year prior to my time here and prior to his time here. And so I really liked him as a kid. He was a walk-on at Wisconsin and just a real gritty kid. Kind of had a rough time at Wisconsin. Just was a little bit injury prone there too. So when I heard last year that he got injured, I was really sad for him. Because he had been doing so well. But he's the type of guy to just put his head down and just get through anything. That's just kind of the guy he is. Like, he's always going to come in with a smile and he's always going to work hard. So it's been great seeing him out there now. Like, I'm always talking to him and everything, just because we were former teammates, now we're back teammates again. So I love seeing him succeed.
We'll go Daniel and then Pete.
As a blocker, you said you had this, hard mentality. When you're, approaching that contact point, what runs through the mind, the brain? Like, what are you trying to accomplish as you approach him? hit them?
And obviously, there's a technical aspect of it, but that's more pre-snap. You know, just trying to my footwork, my hand placement, all that stuff. But after the ball snap, it's just hit that guy harder than he hits me, and just run through him until can't run through him anymore. You know what I mean?
We'll stand up second row to Pete and then go to Joe.
Really, I'm kind of curious. You've played multiple positions. I think maybe at one point linebacker, fullback, tight end. You played multiple sports in high school, basketball, track. How much does all that has helped develop you? And would you recommend that other people, if they have the ability to do similar to the multi-sport, multi-position approach?
Yeah, I mean, multi-sport for sure. Obviously, like just the different movements that you would incur in each sport, from basketball to football, and then like track or whatever it is, even baseball, hand coordination. Like it really, once you get to a certain level of athletics, like you need all the mobility, all the exposure to change the direction, to different movement patterns that you can get, because that's gonna be helpful. You can move better than somebody else, right? That's what brings you to the next level. Like if you can move better than some other guy, they're gonna pick you. So I think that's been a great asset. And then obviously same thing with playing a lot of positions. Like it's taught me a lot about the different ways that people approach things, the different ways that I can approach things, right? So I can just kind of see, like, hey, when do I need to really go downhill hard? You know what I mean? Like, when do I need to use a little bit more finesse? Like, oh, what's the linebacker thinking here? Like, he's taking this drop. Like, where's the open zone gonna be? So I think like playing as many positions as you can. I mean, obviously, like, you gotta kind of be focused in on what you want to do, but being like open to like changing positions or like filling a need somewhere, I think that's a great thing. Taking scout really seriously, and because they move around a lot during scout, so taking advantage of every position you play during scout, I think is really big, just because it teaches you so much about the whole sport of football, and it really helps you understand the greater concept that we're trying to work.
Stay in the second row left to Joe and then go to Matt.
You've dealt with coaching changes before your time at Wisconsin. I mean, with that kind of experience, learning new systems, what stood out about making that change to Indiana with Signetti and the staff?
Yeah, I think it made that transition easier for me, just because I had just done it 2 years prior. So that definitely made it a little bit easier, but I think the staff did a great job of, just getting me into the playbook right away and like pushing that on us, and they were really helpful. I mean, when I first got here in winter, me and Grant Wilson and Nando, we go up to the offices with the GAs every day and just go through install 1, and we'd go through that for 2 days, and we go through install 2, whatever. And so like the GAs and the coaches would always be stopping in, like talking to us, and just like helping us work through it. Like as much as we wanted to put in, the coach were gonna match that and put in the same effort.
We'll go third row on your right to Matt and then Jeff.
You mentioned that you noticed what Indiana did last year. Before you got here, Trey Wyatt, and you mentioned Drew, that you were at Wisconsin for a year. Did you reach out to them at all? Did you talk to them? And if so, what was the feedback they gave you about their year under the new staff?
Yeah, talking to Trey was big. So I came on my visit here. I was able to talk to him a little bit. Obviously, they were game planning for Notre Dame, so it was kind of brief. But then after the Notre Dame game, I ended up talking to Trey a little bit longer about just what his time was like here, and just kind of feeling out the program, right? Because it's tough to get a full feel for what a whole year at a program is going to be like in just a matter of days or a matter of weeks that the transfer portal is open for. So that was a really big part, was asking Trey like kind of what the day-to-day life was like what the coaching style of a lot of the coaches were, kind of what their mentality was about things, and because that's really what I was looking for a fit for me. So I would say Trey was a really big part of that, just kind of being open and honest about how they run stuff here, and I really liked it.
All right, we'll do a second row on your right to Jeff, and we'll wrap up with Sandy.
So 2 questions for me. First of all, take me through the process or the conversations associated with starting linebacker, then fullback, then tight end. How did it work, and sort of why the position changes?
So I started at outside linebacker. I was a walk-on, and I had 3 other kids in my class. One of them's in the NFL now. His name's Nick Herbig, so he's a really good pass rusher. So wasn't going to play above him, obviously. He's just clearly leaps and bounds better than me. And then the other 2 were bigger than me and just more built for the position for me. I was a little bit undersized for the position. And so I just do a lot of like indie work. I'd always be the offensive show guy, like stuff like that. So I do a really good job being an offensive show guy, because I was just trying to give my all the time. And then after a year and a half, we ended up having one of our fullbacks transfer. And so my coach recommended me because of the good job I've been doing in Indy to go play fullback. So I ended up playing fullback for then the next year and a half, and then Coach Chris got fired, and our new scheme was under Longo was an air raid, so we didn't have a fullback anymore. So they were like, hey, like you can go play running back or you can play tight end. Like, right, that's the two boats you kind of fit into. At the time, we had Braylon Allen at running back, and he's a better running back than I'll ever be. You know, I'm willing to admit that. And then we had a few other guys behind him, Ches, and just a bunch of guys that were way better running backs than I would have ever been. So I was just like, you know, I'm behind the curve, pretty good at blocking anyways. Like, let me just go to tight end. And then just kind of went from there, just worked my butt off and earned that scholarship, and then just kind of never looked back.
So the second one for me is this. The word is you really like blocking. I'm curious, is that true? If so, why? And why do you feel you're as good at it as you are?
Yeah, definitely. I think my love for blocking like initially came from like playing fullback. So like when it was linebacker, like it was a lot of thinking, a lot of processing. We had a very complicated defense with Coach Lerner as our DC. So I was like, you know, it was just like I was always like trying to figure something out. Then when they moved me to fullback, it was just like, hey, run at the end man on the line and just kick him out. You know what I mean? So it was just like, you know, it's what football's all about. You know what I mean? Like just run as fast as you can at somebody, kick them out, and like, you know, in the Big Ten, there's a lot less finesse players. You know what I mean? A lot of guys are just, you know, just gonna sit there and try and set the edge. So it's just kind of like me versus him. Like who's gonna be tougher? Who's gonna hit harder? And that's really kind of where I got that love for it. Was just like, hey, like it's mano a mano. Like let's just get to it. So I think that played a really big role in my love for it. And then once I got moved to tight end, like it was a little bit different style, but I still like that, you know, that kind of mindset of like, hey, I'm trying to dominate the man in front of me. You know what I mean? Like now I got to use my hands a little bit more and kind of get better at that. But like it's that same mentality of like, hey, like it's me versus man across from me, and I'm trying to dominate him, drive him back as far as I can.
All right, last one, second row on your right to Sammy.
Riley, has anything surprised you about coming to Indiana that you maybe didn't see coming or you didn't know about the school?
I like Sig a lot. I like Sig. You know, I think I wasn't sure about him. You know, just like seeing like everything in the media. You know what I mean? Like it's a little different than like he's an interesting character. So that was definitely something I was just like, you know, I don't know what he's gonna be like. You know, in person and like around the team and everything. But I really like him a lot. I like his mentality. I think like a big thing for me is he really takes care of the players. Obviously, you know, I've been in college for like, I don't know, 18, 19 years or something. So, you know, his body's hurting a little bit. But, I mean, I would say this is the best I've felt since I was probably a sophomore or junior. So that's a really big thing for me is, I mean, between him and DO, Coach Owens, like they really take care of you and make sure that your body's like, you know, as close to 100% at all times. And you're also building strength, building muscle, getting faster, getting quicker. But, you know, you're doing all that while still feeling fresh and feeling good.
Great. Thanks, Riley. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Riley.
On the right with Sammy, and then go to Matt.
Kellan, you've played Indiana a couple of times in your career. How is it, as you imagined it, coming here now with IU? Is it something that you saw from afar to bring you here?
Yeah, you know, I played them a couple times, like you said, and you know, every time I played them, it always felt like they've had a competitive team, and you know, they always fought hard on everything they did from offensive, defense down to special teams, and you know, I really came here just to try to be a part of something special like that, you know, and I'm looking forward to keep developing relationships with the guys to be one of those guys that can make an impact for this team.
We'll go third row right to Matt, and we'll go to Mike.
Kellan, in Maryland, you kind of labeled more as a linebacker, and still kind of put on the end, but how's your role maybe similar and different here to what you were doing when you were with them?
It's pretty similar for the most part. I'm kind of traveling, playing multiple positions, which is a good thing, being more versatile and trying to find more ways to not come off the field. So I think it's really similar. I was dropping and rushing at Maryland, same thing I'm doing here. Sometimes just from different spots. So
Go to your right to Mike, and then to Zach.
Yeah, did you have any familiarity with the coaching staff? Did they kind of talk to you at all when they were at JMU, or maybe knew Brian Haynes at all, or was it all fresh kind of when you went to the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think it was pretty fresh. At the time, I was just trying to explore options, and I always kept this team in the back of my mind because I knew how special they were, especially how they played last year. But coming into, going into the portal, I didn't know any of them. And then once I got the chance to, see them and, be around them, that was when I really felt like this was the place for me.
Stay left to Zach and then go to Seth.
I guess, is it maybe whether it's a person, whether it's something you've been doing in your process, but not being here for spring and trying to sort of flatten that learning curve without the spring season? How have you approached that, and has there been anybody that's sort of, I don't want to say taking you under their wing, but really kind of tried to help you along and help you getting comfortable?
Yeah, it could always be tough. If the situation was right in the wintertime, I would have been here. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. So when I got here in the summer, obviously we have a shorter time to learn everything. And, when you have a guy like Mikhail in the room, Kamara, you learn a lot from him, especially the season he had last year. So, you could pick up things and techniques and, stuff like that from him, and you kind of play off each other. And I feel like, it's going to be good for us.
Staying left with Seth, and we'll go to Zach B.
Yeah, from either, however much you went up against him while you were at Maryland against Indiana, or just the times you've gone up against him in practice now, just, what's it like lining up against Carter Smith, and what makes him, a difficult competitor?
Yeah, I've seen Carter a couple times, and, it's hard to find things to beat him with. And, he doesn't have many flaws in his game. Going against him every day in practice, not only makes him better, it also makes me better. I just looking forward to keep stacking days with a guy like that, and and any other tackle on the team, Khalil Benson, stuff like that. So just looking forward to stacking days and keeping getting better with those type of guys.
Did you go head to head with him while you were at Maryland at all?
I did, yeah. We've had our one-on-ones for sure.
We'll go on your right to Zach B. and then Colin.
On Monday, Coach Signetti called you a high-effort, high-energy guy. Where do you kind of draw that energy and effort from when you're on the field?
I think it's just from my background. From where I came up at. That's how I was, brought up, and that's how I grew up. Just to always stay humble and work hard. And it's when you see high energy guys like that on the field, you kind of stand out. And I just would like to be one of those players that stand out on the field.
We'll go to Colin and then Jeff.
Coming over here with Roman from Maryland, how have you kind of developed that relationship both at Maryland and here, and what have you seen from him and the rest of the running backs as a whole? Yeah,
Roman's my guy. He's been, I've seen him every college year I've been in college. And Roman, he's progressed really good in his process. I believe he came here in the winter. And they also make us better. It's every rep is competition, honestly. Every team period, every one-on-one, every, anything. So when you have backs like that and any other back, all of them are really good, and special in their own ways. They make all of us better. So
we'll go on your left, second row to Joe, and then to Sammy.
Hey, Kellan. Kyle told us earlier that he's eyeing 20 sacks. If he doesn't get that, he wants to break the school record. I mean, what is it like playing with a guy like that? I mean, how is his play style on this day-to-day?
Yeah, it's special having a guy like that, man. I look at him as one of those high-energy guys as well. Always working. If something doesn't work, he has plan B. And I think it's good because I feel as though I'm the same way. And, I'm looking forward to it, man. You have a guy like that, it brings certain things out from, from like an offense perspective that, as a defense we could take advantage of.
Go right to Sammy and then to Pete.
Kellan, what does Aiden Fisher mean to this defense, and how does his communication really help you guys line up and be tough to game plan against?
Yeah, Aiden's like the alpha on the defense, man. He's talking to everybody. He don't just talk to the backer. He's talking to people behind him, people in front of him. He's always been that type of guy. I seen him last year, and I'm on the sideline watching him, and he's the loudest player on the field, and it's already loud in the stadium enough. So, just playing with a guy like that knows how to communicate really well, I think it makes everybody else's job pretty easy.
We'll go on your left to Pete.
Hey, Kellan, how optimistic are you about this defense? What excites you about this defense and the impact you guys can make?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I was excited from first day again here in June. I think before I even got here, I was trying to get the playbook. So just trying to keep up with guys, because a lot of guys got here in the winter, and like I said, I wasn't able to do that at the time. But yeah, it's exciting having guys like this that that have that chip on their shoulder, that always want to go hard and win every rep basically.
We'll go Eli in the third row up top, and then Daniel.
Hey, Kellan. Yeah, kind of, I guess, maybe coattailing off that, getting adjusted to the new program, and now you got a couple weeks under your belt with fall camp here. What is the identity that you guys want to create, not only on the defense, but overall as a team as well?
I think we just want to be dominant as a team. Obviously the goal on defense is not to let them score, and we want to put up as much points as we can on offense. So as long as we get those two things done, we'll be in good shape.
And last one, front row left to Daniel.
You had mentioned that you kept IU, kind of on the mind because it was a special team. What about this team is special? Like, what have you learned about it that's like, okay, I can see why it is special?
Yeah, you have a lot of guys that are unique in their own way, and they find a way to make a play no matter the circumstance, no matter if it's a good look or not. So guys like that, just playing with them, it makes everybody else's job easy. You know what I'm saying? It makes everybody else fly the ball and want to play harder and, things like that. So, having special players around you, it makes you want to step your game up as well. So it makes you want to, have that chip on your shoulder as well.
Great. Thanks, Kellan.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And then go to Zach.
Yeah, it takes back to that injury last year. Obviously, you kind of waited 2 years to kind of get your chance, you get it, and then I think it was like a non-contact thing. But can you walk us through and what was your mindset after having kind of worked so hard to get to that moment, right before the Michigan game, for it to happen?
Yeah, obviously that was really a devastating moment. I was really excited because Michigan D-line they were really tough last year, and I thought that was a good opportunity to prove myself against some of the top guys. And obviously really kind of heartbreaking, but good opportunity to get some adversity.
What happened with the injury? Was it just like a fluke kind of thing in practice?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know immediately it was this kind of serious thing?
So I was up in a sled, and then just all of a sudden it felt like someone came and kicked me in the back of my leg. And I was kind of like, who kicked me in the back of the leg? And then that's when I realized it was pretty serious.
All right, we'll stay on your left with Zach, and then go to Seth.
I guess just from your perspective, going through the recovery process, just what was spring like for you? What was summer like for you? How were you, just sort of the process of building back to full strength and to being, just can you walk us through some of that as well?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, with the Achilles, I was kind of like completely out of everything, not really doing it much for like 6 weeks, and then like start working into walking again, and then getting on like a lighter treadmill, like the Alter G. And so it's a very, very slow process. But, once I got back lifting and starting to see some strides in my calf strength, kind of more uplifting, but still just very gradual, slow process. And, it's always hard to sit out and watch your friends play without you.
I was going to ask you about that a little bit, like mentally, just how difficult of a process was that to go through, and how did you kind of get through it?
Yeah, obviously really hard. I've never been in that situation before. Watching, especially the first few weeks when my friends are going to go play good teams without me, and I feel like I can't be out there with them. Obviously that's tough, and really you just gotta focus one day at a time. Like, it's gonna be done eventually.
All right, we'll stay second row left to Pete, and then go to Daniel.
Yeah, Drew, now that you're back, what are the keys for you? What do you need to improve on? What needs to be better?
Right now it's just like shaking the rust off every day, getting a little better. I'm feeling good out there. Just same thing, like get the fundamentals every day, shake the rust off.
We'll stay right in front of Daniel, and then go to Sammy.
How would you compare playing with Pat after playing with Mike last year at center?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both really good guys. More like they're smart guys, like know the game well. Yeah, I'd say they're pretty similar, but both good in their own ways.
We'll go second row on your right to Sammy, and then to Matt.
Drew, you get to go up against the defense lineman every day. who has stood out to you, especially from the new guys like Hosea and Daniel Ratcliffe?
Oh yeah, our D line's very good. Ratcliffe, very good guy, very quick. Hosea, big and strong. You know, it's we have a very good D line. It's good to be going against them every day.
Go third row on your right to Matt, and then Zach B.
Drew, last year you guys played well all year. I know towards the end of the year you weren't with them, but had a little bit of struggle against, Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame. How much have you guys talked about that this year when you go against an Oregon and Iowa, Penn State, kind of, taking that play up to that next level and dominating like you did against other teams, against teams like that?
It's just we want to learn from the mistakes, so we can go on the road and play in those big games, and just right now building confidence and just because you know what you have to do. You just got to go do it.
All right, we'll go front row to Zach B, and then we'll go to Jeff.
You mentioned that you feel like you kind of missed out on a chance to prove yourself at the end of last year. Are you going into this year with that mindset of trying to prove yourself each week?
Oh yeah, big time.
What does that look like on a day-to-day basis for you?
Day-to-day basis, just you got to be your best self every day and learn from your mistakes every day.
We'll go to second row to Jeff, and then we'll go to Joe.
Just curious, what was the moment when you did something physically and went, okay, the Achilles is good, I have confidence in it, I can push off, was there one moment where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm good to go?
I wouldn't say there was one moment. It's like, still, like, I wouldn't say I have very much, like, I don't have equal strength in my right calf as my left calf, but it was a very slow process to build that confidence and, get back to running and all that. First practice, I'd say, first fall camp practice was pretty like, all right, I'm here, I'm back.
We'll go second row left to Joe, and then Mike.
For the adversity you faced, what do you learn about yourself for that time? That was mid-November, now we're mid-August, and you're back playing ball again.
Yeah, I'd never really gone through something like that, and it's whatever it was 9 months or 8 months. It's a long time to not play football, and you realize how much you miss playing football, and I don't know. I'm like, I missed football a lot.
We'll go on your left to Mike, and we'll wrap up with Eli.
Yeah, did you feel like you were playing, obviously set out in the spring, close set out in the spring. Did you feel like you were playing catch-up kind of this summer, this fall, chemistry-wise, and how's that kind of process kind of building back up the offensive line as a group?
Obviously, I wasn't out there in the spring, but on the practice field, but I'm still, with my guys. It's a pretty close group. I feel pretty confident that we're on the same page.
All right, we'll go third row on your right to Eli.
Yeah, Drew, obviously there's an expectation and a standard here now with Kurt entering his second year here, what you did all last season. Preseason ranking for fourth time, I believe, in school history. Is there any sort of notion with that for you guys, knowing that there are more eyes on you heading into the season instead of drawing them as the season continued like it did last year?
Me personally, I'm, it's kind of cool that, ranked preseason, but it's not a huge deal, I'd say. We're still just going to go play our best whenever we can.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Drew.